Great. I think that's back. There are a few things I could do today. I think the most obvious is just keep working on this. And that's probably what I'll do for a bit. I thought a bit more about the way that this is rendering, and I think it might make sense not to store meshes in the same way that they're stored, in the same way that render calls are written in Python, if that makes sense. Like currently I'm storing a mesh, which is a JavaScript entity. I'm storing those one-to-one with play calls, like calls to the play logic. And that doesn't totally make sense. I wasn't trying to open that. I was trying to open this. It's like this isn't drawing a mobject. This is drawing a group of mobjects. So maybe what I should end up doing is for each individual mobject, just passing the model matrix that should be applied to it and then the mobject itself. I might end up doing that in a bit. I don't think that's a very high priority thing to work on though, so for now, I'm not going to worry about that. It'd probably be more helpful to get animations working in a way that I can, for instance, do circle dot, not circle, but like text dot right. I mean, I don't have text at all, but a way I can use regular animations. First things first, these two blocks are almost the same, so I should definitely try to factor something out of those. Here, the scene.add, for example. I guess it's calling directly into this from Python. Render vectorize object stroke and render vectorize object fill. Maybe I can have a more general thing like let render. I like render internal. I like calling things internal. Do cached render. Okay, this can still take a list of attributes, I guess. And this can do, hopefully I can just make this be cached render. There'll be attributes and that's, oh, and like stroke or something. And this could be hopefully the exact same thing and then fill. And then pretty much all of this, since these are basically the same lines. Let's try to get those factored out, and then the only thing is I'd have to index this with like create. Maybe I can just pass the function here, create stroke mesh or create fill mesh. Maybe I can just do create stroke mesh, just pass the function. And here just pass the function, and now I can be attributes in like the render function. And this can just be the render function. Great, so in both these cases, I'll get the attribute, get this ID, check for it. If it's there, I just delete it, I guess. And then I create a new mesh on each frame. Okay. And let's just test that out. Let's just shift. Something like that. And that is too many circles. Let me see if that always happens. Great. Okay, so that might have just been because I didn't reload it in a long time. Took a little longer. But that looks right. Eventually what I think I'm gonna do, the more I think about that other idea, the more I like it. Just keeping a list of meshes that are one-to-one with mobjects, and that'll make it easier to update them, I think. Yeah. Since recreating these meshes on each frame doesn't really make sense. So store meshes one-to-one with mobjects and update meshes rather destroy and recreate them. And that'll make that a little bit faster, hopefully. Why does it keep doing this? It must be when I save this. If I make a change and save, I don't know why that circle comes back. Because it always happens while I'm typing. Okay, well now it's always here. Let's see. So I don't know if clicking this more does anything, but let me try moving this. So that's fine. I come back here and save something and come back. Weird. It's only if I look away and start editing or something. But okay. I think everything related to updater should probably more or less either work out of the box or work once I do this. So I think it'd be really helpful to try to get traditional animations to work. Oh, I should check if my stream title actually worked. With web dev like this, it needs non-web dev. I thought that was clever. And I want to see if it worked on YouTube. Because I don't trust my technology enough to just take its word for it. And it is great. Okay. So it's probably going to have to happen. Wait, move this back to here. What's probably going to happen is I'm going to have something like self.animation list. Probably need to have something like that. And this will be a list of animations. I forgot all the animation names. I think there's like just... What are the animations called? Well, I guess this is an animation. Self.animate. Self.circle.animate. Shift up, things like this, and I'd have to have a list of these. Left or whatever. We'll probably just have to save a list like this to the instance. Then at the start of draw, I'll have to have something like self.update animations. Something like that. And it'll have to just compile this. It'll have to like abstract away the logic of compiling this and indexing in by the appropriate time. Which, first of all, I think draw should take a timestamp. It doesn't make much sense that it doesn't. So let's start with that. After I push this stuff again. That's the last thing I pushed. Rendering strokes and fills from Manum. Okay, commit. Now I can... Oh, is it GCM? Nope. And the simple animations. So first things first, I have to pass this a timestamp. Update animations is probably as good a name as this as any. I think there's already a self.animations that Scenes has, and I wouldn't want to mess with that. I wouldn't want to conflict with that variable. Yeah. So I guess that'll have to be animation list or something like that. Okay. So firstly, so this is the animation loop, pretty much this. And all that's happening is when I hit that render button, I'm replacing the Manum scene in this render loop. Now I think request animation frame, it passes you some sort of time data. Callback. The callback function is passed a single argument, DOM high-res timestamp, indicating the point in time when this starts to execute callback functions. Okay, looks like it's a timestamp like this. Not request animation frame timestamp. Wait, request animation frame step. What's step initially? Oh, here I take that. It takes that function, and here it takes a timestamp. So I guess what I want to do is this. Remove that. Then this. We'll take a timestamp. And then I just try to console.log that. Okay, that looks like it's doing what I expect. I guess I don't really want the I don't really care about the timestamp. I care about the elapsed time since the last time it was called. That's what I actually care about. I wonder if it does anything. I'll just see if it has a second argument. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. No. Uh-oh, what did I do? Oh. Oh, the old request animation frames aren't being removed when I save and reload this. Huh. I wonder how I would even do that. I guess as long as this is unconditionally doing this request animation frame. This is like sort of back at the same problem that I was looking at before, where I want to like cancel one of these loops when I start another one. Maybe it says... Oh no, that's not that simple. I don't know. Maybe for now I can just reload the entire thing. Although that startup time is really annoying. Yeah, I think I'd have to come up with a better way to do that later on. Start and stop the render loop as desired. Because currently it's just running all the time. Hey Aquabeam, how you doing? Maybe if I didn't start it now? Sean, are you? I'm pretty good. I'm wondering... I think I probably want to get the traditional animations working. And after I do that, it'd be pretty neat to just post this online somewhere. And it'd be pretty crappy. Well... I don't know. I might be a little embarrassed to put it online if the text editor is literally a text box like this, or the code editor. But maybe people won't care too much. Okay. Enders. What's going on? And thanks for the follow. Do you know how to make it pretty? Yeah, I could pretty much copy the code from my Eulertor site. The annoying thing would mostly be, just like little CSS tweaks. That's the worst part of it. When it's just this, 3 boxes, actually even this had some annoying CSS. But when it's just this, things just are so much easier to work with. But when I try to replace this with like, probably Monaco. Okay, that's not the right way to search for that. Does the terminal need to be there? The terminal should be there. However, it should be more useful than this. What I should be able to do, if I had a handle to this scene in Python, I could do like man unseen dot add OpenGL square, and then that should appear. But I don't have a handle to it here. Actually, that shouldn't even be that hard. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, I remember what it's doing. I wanted to not request animation frame here. Damn, I need a way. Okay. If I don't request animation frame here, Work like interactive embed. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, here's what I think this should do. I can do request animation frame man on scene, and this returns something, I think. Like some sort of ID. The request ID that uniquely identifies the entity on the callback list. And pass this to window.cancel animation frame to cancel the callback request. Okay, so this is literally says request ID, so I'll have that. And I'll try to save that to the instance. Or it should be out here. Request ID equals null by default. Then I'll override it here. And this will say if request ID it needs a way to get its own request ID. Do I need a closure or something? And a timestamp. I could say the request ID to the instance, I guess. But then what's the request ID that this will use? Okay, let me try this. Put like my request ID here. And I'll just want to log both of these. Request ID, then my request ID. Now currently my request ID doesn't even exist. But what I guess I'd want to do is like let generate render function Hey Blake 4096, what's going on? I feel like this music is getting louder and louder. I should probably get real volume at some point. Okay, but this can take a request ID and... oh no, just a request ID. And then... let do request animation request. And that's going to do this. And when I call that, it's going to first generate the request ID. But what I want to pass this to the function, but I can't do that if I get it from here, if I get it from the request animation frame. Yeah, this is too annoying. I'll leave that for another day. I probably have to just think more about how to make it so that this doesn't repeatedly call itself. Like, it still has an error from a version of the code that isn't there anymore. That's kind of annoying. Okay, but anyway, this timestamp should be passed to draw. Oh, not the timestamp though. I want what previous timestamp? Is timestamp one word or two? Looks like it's one. Okay. Previous timestamp, I'll leave that at no. And here, when I get a timestamp, say, move this at the bottom. Command sign equals null equals then return. Here, if the previous timestamp isn't null, then I can get the delta. So we put delta equals 0. Then delta will equal the timestamp minus the previous timestamp. Let's say if equals null, then I can leave that at 0. Actually, I think this way is more intuitive, since that's the common case. Oh, I can just leave it like this. Then here it'll be just left at 0. If it's not null, then I'll update that. And then I want to pass this delta into draw. Then I have to update previous timestamp. So I think here is what I want to say previous timestamp equals timestamp. So now if I go here and I print the delta, then I get an error. Oh yeah, draw. Draw can't take this yet. Okay, then I get like 16 and then change, which I think is 60 frames per second. I'll just put 16.5. Yeah, so this is approaching 60 frames per second. If this is like 6, yeah, that's 60 frames per second. Cool. Now I want to pass this delta t into draw, which that'll crash it. Because oh, wait, does this even have the draw function, or is it just something I added here? I don't think that's defined on the scene. Interesting. So maybe all I need to do is here just pass in that delta t. And maybe it'll just work. Use a calculator when you have Python shell. Yeah, exactly. What's your take on JavaScript? I have mixed feelings about JavaScript, actually. Hey, Snooze Studios, what's going on? But yeah, I have mixed feelings about JavaScript in that it has a lot of quirks. Yeah, weak typing isn't the best. You should use TypeScript. For sure. It has a lot of things from like, a lot of relics of the past that are like super weird. But if you don't try to like mess it up, nothing bad really happens with it. And so that's good. Okay, why is my thing not appearing? If you don't like make an effort to mess something up, then nothing bad really happens, and you use TypeScript. So in that sense, it's pretty good. I do wish there was a way to make it faster. Although, it is already quite fast. Okay, I had to see what happened. I had to see where that circle just ended up disappearing. my gosh, Vim is giving me a hard time right now. Okay, so this is where I was factoring that out. So here... Nope, still doesn't like that. Nah, I can't just time travel. But JavaScript is the fastest interpreted language in the world, so it has that going for it. However, it's not a super stable one. Oh, and it isn't multi-threaded. Why? Just be multi-threaded. He's speeding and extend C++. Yeah, that's true. Python is a GIL. Yeah, that's really bad for it. I think they're working to find a way to fix that. But so far, yeah, that's not that great. I lost the circle, and I have no idea where. If I'm calling cached render, is this being called? I guess not. If I go to here, is this being called? It must be. Request animation frame, animate manum scene. Is this only being called once? How? Adding type tints to Python made it faster. That would be nice. I do feel like Python has an uphill battle that it needs to fight. I guess the best thing it has going for it is just that it's really fast. So there's always that. Yeah, the type hints are pretty good. Where is this circle? Oh my god. I know I called this. For animate. Agree to the full extent, yeah. Unpythonic? Okay, I feel like unpythonic is one of those words. Oh, I had to request this up here. There we go. Unpythonic is one of those words that roughly means whatever you want it to mean. And so now I can do this by DT. Okay, and now I can do this by a rate. Well, a rate that's like tied to a time. Which of the guidelines does it violate? Let's see. Let's check out the Zen of Python. And let's do it within WebAssembly. But I actually forgot how to even bring out the Zen of Python. You like import some random thing, I think. Import this. And you can see it right that beautiful is better than ugly, but what's beautiful? Explicit is better than implicit, seems to go against weak typing. Simple is better than complex. And complex is better than complicated. Which, see, this is also open to interpretation. Because if there's something... Like, the difference between complex and complicated isn't very well understood. Flat is better than nested just isn't necessarily true. And there are lines that like directly contradict each other like these. Yeah. I like this, that if it's easy to explain, then it's a good idea. If it's hard to explain, then it's a bad idea. That's pretty good. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now this can take a timestamp. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to try to do is put a list of animations here. And one of these will be that circle. Shift right. Now, what I have to do is roughly... This thing's... I got to figure out a way to get rid of the old render loops. It's roughly... At the beginning of this, I want something like... self.update animations. And this is gonna take this timestamp, convert it into an offset since the beginning of the scene. Yeah. Maybe I could just pass it that. Maybe I could just pass it DT and also regular T. Wait, I think that's something you'd want. It's going to use this, index into this list, and then update it by DT. I hope. I think. There's delta. Where's the previous timestamp? Up here. Let me put this. I'll just keep track of the start timestamp. And then when you render, I'll update that. That's set up. How do I, is this just like time.now? Performance.now? Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do is print out the timestamps from here. That's that. And then get one from performance.now. It looks like this is right. Yeah, it looks like it's basically using this. So, at the time that you render, I can set the starting timestamp to performance.now. Should have constants. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's like otherwise I would still need that value. Declared but never used. Didn't I write to it here? Function render. It might not have access to that variable. That might be what's happening. Although it's writing to Manum seam. Guess I'll just see. Because what would end up happening is I'd still have to... It'd have to compute that value on its own by like adding the deltas together. Between a constant and a variable. Or if they get changed. Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about something else, but yeah, I still agree with that. Okay, let's log the start timestamp. So here it's all nulls. Colon final equals 42. I didn't know that. Okay, so I guess that start timestamp thing worked. Miraculously. It won't type check. Type checking is like a step in the right direction. Final answers. I believe you. But let's see. One day I'll get a better way to check the chat. By MyPy and annotated code, yeah. Cool. If you're changing a constant, you probably have a good reason. So the idea would be that if you're changing a constant, there's some miscommunication between you, what you're trying to do, and whoever was writing whoever wrote that constant. And so the idea is that should be resolved rather than like the one person wanting to do something. One person wanting to do one thing and then you wanting to do another thing. And so the code should reflect that. I always assume the end user's an idiot. True. Okay, so now I can have T and DT. I guess you'll have to understand that T is the current time and DT is the change since the last time it was called. CNOS is not defined. Oh yeah. It'll be timestamp minus start timestamp. But it's generally a good idea to have strong guarantees in your code. For like pi, yeah, that's a good example. So now, circle shift. Change DT. Okay, that is about what I expect. The thing is, the Python is dynamic, so how do you implement that? The type checker runs externally to Python itself, I think. Overload the assignment operator. Oh yeah, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. Okay, so I got the animation list. Now I'm going to write some Python, I think. Because I'm going to want... I start this out. It shouldn't be just pass, it should be self.update animations. which doesn't exist right now, so that'll crash. Then I have to write update animations. Okay. Is this Webman I'm encoding? Yeah. So setup, tear down, construct. I guess I might as well put draw here. Probably like right before construct. Take 2. This is like at least take 3. I've tried this many times. Used in WebAssembly. I don't know what to say. WebAssembly. This function is called once on each frame. By default. Okay, so I'll put that there. And then update animations. So I didn't update mobjects. Guess I'll just put it here. And what would this have to take? Probably T and BT. And then the question will be... Okay, first you have to check your animation list. Here, you could make that an empty list. And I'm just gonna recompile that and make sure everything works. And stops crashing. Okay, so now it'll do self.update animation. Self.update animation shouldn't do anything. Nope. Okay, because this needs T and DT. Okay, there we go. Although it's still getting printed. Although at the point where you have to call update animations each time, maybe that should just be hard-coded. But I'll get to that later, I guess. So then, what should update animations do? First, I'll have to find which animation to update, to use. So I'd have to index into that array. Then you'll have to basically update it. And then after that end, after it finishes, it should probably the animation is finished. It should probably do like whatever cleanup work. Cleanup slash do other stuff. It should be possible to do some stuff after the animation finishes. So step 1, finding which animation to use. And I think what's gonna have to happen is this will have to have like a current animation. Default to none. then I can say if that current animation is none, then I gotta take animation less than 0. Otherwise, okay, this means you have a current animation. And so what you want to see is like, is T, T, which is the offset into the scene, how does that compare to the point in the scene where the current animation will end? So I have to save like a self dot current animation end time. Something like that. I'd be writing triple equals in Python. Yeah, I can't do it that well either, actually. There are many times where I would go into JavaScript and I'd be like, print whatever. And it like tries to print to a piece of paper. And I'd be like, what is happening? And yeah, I've been there. Okay, so I don't think you get the runtime of an animation until the animation is... until you begin the animation? I think that's how it works. But you do def begin. Okay, so what happens when you start an animation? You run init. When you create the animation, when you initialize it, that's when it gets its runtime. Which is actually all I need, I think. Unless you're doing some sort of exotic animation. So here, current animation is none. Self.current animation goes the first one on the list, then self.current animation end time will just be self.current animation .runtime like this. And I mess up the casing as well. So I go into JavaScript and I type things like this. Like let variable name equals whatever. Yep. Good times. Okay. So now I have the animation and I have the end time. And in this case, where I do have the current animation, I have a reference to that. I want to say if t is greater than, well, I'll do the common case. If t is less than the self.current animation end time, gosh darn it, then there's nothing to do, right? So I do want this one. T is greater than the current animation end time. Then the current animation will have to be... Oh man, I have to keep track of this index. So many things to keep track of. Okay, I'll just put this index. That'll be like 0. I guess I'll put it at none. And then I'll initialize it here. Okay, so I get the animation, its index, and its end time. And if I reach a time which exceeds the animation end time, okay, then I'm going to increase the current animation index. The current animation will be... Wait, why is this not working? Int or none, and literal none. What? Oh, because I have it none here, probably. Okay, so I'll just put that at 0. Actually, I can make this more consistent like this. Current animation index. Great. That'll be current animation index. And now current animation end time plus equals self.current animation.runtime. Great. It might be possible to just... Like, these lines are very similar. It might be possible to have a plus equals here and set current animation end time to 0 by default. But who wants to deal with those edge cases? Just kidding, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. Then I can do plus equals current animation end time. Great. And now these lines are pretty similar. The only real difference is this plus equals 1, but I won't try to factor them right now. Okay, now I think it'd be helpful to just print. Okay, this is this part. Now it might be helpful to just print that animation. And see if it's something that makes sense. Alright, we got an error. List index out of range. On line 14. Wait, line 14. Oh, 272. Here. If t is greater than the current animation end time. Was it always doing error, or did it do an error after like 1 second or whatever? There's too many errors to tell. But it's true, there's no bounds checking on this. If t greater than self.current animation end time, then I increment this. So it should be if, well, increment it, then if self.current animation index less than the length of that list. That's when I'll do this. And this. Okay. So I'll try recompiling that. Oh, I only got one error this time. OpenGL circle has no attribute runtime. What? Current self.current animation dot runtime. Okay, so this is line 268. Self.current animation dot runtime. So basically this first entry, the first entrance here, which is this. Isn't this supposed to be an animation? Isn't it? I forgot where this thing was even located. It must be in Mobject. And OpenGL Mobject. Interesting that this says it's borrowed from Manum Community when this is Manum Community. This goes to an animation builder, and this... is this on... Oh, this is just an object. Okay, so I guess I have to call build on this first. I guess? But dot animate, that should be a builder. And then dot shift. That returns self, so that should return an animation builder. So shouldn't this be an animation builder here? Dot shift, I passed it that argument right. Well, I changed to a method animation. But I never called build. Def update target. Man, this thing's confusing. GetAtcher, and I call it with a method name. To check if it's chaining or not. I'll call update target with the method args and the KW args. Okay, that returns update target, which will go here. And that'll call that method on the target. Method equals getAtcher of this. Okay, so the method is bound to the target. And then you call the method, so that updates the target. So essentially, each time you do this chaining, you're updating the target of that object. Then when you build, I guess it's going to do pretty much a move to target. Yeah, and so that inherits a move to target. But I didn't build it. So my question is, what's the type of this? I think it should be a method animation. Although that isn't imported. I'll just print the type of this. This startup time, though. Did it print the type? Oh, here it's printing the type. And it's an animation builder. But before it got there, it hit an error before it even got there. On line 268. Oh, that makes sense. This is expecting that to be an animation. So let's take a current animation equals this. And this isn't necessarily an animation. So I have to see, I should see what the scene does when it, like, builds. When I do play, and it does render.play. Somewhere here it's gonna have to, like, call build on its args. Get animation time progression, get runtime. Here it looks like they're already built. The wait is just going to call play. Maybe it happens in the renderer? Although that would be kind of weird. Although our renderer code does kind of a lot. Yeah, our renderer compiles the animation data, which doesn't make too much sense. Compile animation data and begin animations. So then if I go back to scene, here is the compile animation data. And here it doesn't build it either. Oh, well, there is compile animations. It's just these attributes on the animations. Let's prepare animation, which is imported from animation.animation. And this is where the animation is built. Great. So prepare animation, this is what I need to do here. Does this already have prepare animation? It does. So this will give me the animation I want, and then this, current animation, then prepare animation here. Okay. And now this shouldn't be an animation builder. What is going on with my sizing? I'll leave it here. Okay, so now it's a method animation, which inherits from move to target. So this is an animation, so that's good. That's what I was expecting. You know what's it's kind of annoying is I'm gonna have to port LaTeX. That's gonna be annoying. Port LaTeX again, because we've done it before. And it's gonna be significantly less useful until I do port LaTeX. Because I can't write things. Porting mouse controls won't be so hard. In fact, I could actually... there's a decent chance that I'll be able to take the mouse controls directly from Three.js. But man, porting LaTeX is going to be annoying. Okay. So I have this. Basically, this will start at 0 and stuff. I think there should be elif. So if current animation is none, then I have to get a new one. Elif, the time is too high, then I also have to get a new one. And then else, in this case, I just have to update the animation. Oh wait. No, this shouldn't be else. Then here, I have to update the animation no matter what. Or do that step the animation or whatever. Okay, so how to update that animation? I guess I basically see the way Scene does it, or the way the render does it. I don't know if compile animation data is necessary anymore. Moving objects, static objects. Get runtime. Oh, there's a duration that's separate. Okay. I was imagining this always being a list of animations, but maybe this could be a list of like what you would pass into play. But that's for a different time, I think. For now, just have this a list of animations, so I don't think the duration is something that's useful to have. Paint all non-moving objects to the screen. I don't think there will be any concept of that. Add objects from animations. That actually does seem like a useful thing to do. Maybe I should just call compile animation data. Just do like all this stuff that play does. Which is basically compile animation data and then begin animations. Which isn't a ton, I guess. Update objects, dt equals 0. Should update objects. Okay. So, this is when you start a new animation. And when you start a new one, compile animation data args and kwrgs. I guess there won't be any kwrgs. So, how can I say like if this in this case or this case, but not the third case, then I want to compile animation data. I guess I would just have to put an or at the top of this. If this or that. Then I'd go into here and say if it was this one or if it was that one, and then either way, if I switch to a new animation, then I have to do self compile animation data. And the args will be that one animation. And the kwrgs will be nothing. And then begin animations, I guess. Why is this if? If len animations equals 0? Okay. Self dot begin animations. Oh wait. Yeah, that should be indented. T greater than. If I initialize this thing at 0, maybe these things can both be collapsed into the same case. Current animation is none. Maybe I don't have to check that, and I can just check T greater than current animation end time, and if that starts at 0, then the first time it'll fall into this case anyway. So current animation index plus equals 1. I guess I could default this to -1. Then just say this. Then it won't be this case. It'll just be like this. If t is greater than the current animation end time, then I'll increment that index. And if that's someplace where I can actually index into the list, then I will. Self.current animation. So it doesn't like that this could be a none. Can I just say that this is supposed to be an animation? Is this how that works? Assign recurrent blah blah blah. None can be assigned to this member. Oh, what a pain. Okay, I'm just gonna let the type checker be mad at me. Okay, so now I think that makes sense. So I'm gonna get here and I'm gonna print self.current animation again. And just make sure I didn't break anything. And I'm sure I did. That's just the way that programming goes. No, that looks right. Okay. Okay, so now I have this animation and it's begun. So if I have T and I have DT, how do I update that animation? So I'm gonna look at the way that scene does it. Oh man, let me enter now here, and this is gonna do self.update to time T time progression. Oh, okay, so when you play, it has to get this time progression. It's a good thing that I did compile animation data or whatever. Because that means it will have a self.duration, which means this will work, which means I can do this. Wait, not that. I can... Wait, why does it do this twice? These lines are the same line. Man, is so bad. Anyway. It'll have this duration. I don't need the time progression, though. Wait, this time progression, this is... Is this ranging from 0 to whatever? It probably is. Yeah, because it's doing update to time that. And it's... I doubt it's like going from someplace other than 0 to like 1. But I might as well check that. Okay, so that's going from 0 to... Well, I actually can't check that way. I'd have to do this twice. Okay, so it's always starting from 0. So, what I want to do is self.update to time T, but it won't be this regular T. It won't be the offset from the beginning of the offset from the beginning of the scene. When I do this, like begin animations, when I do compile animation data, here, wait, what the heck? Probably right here. Current animation at start time. And I'll just put that as T. Then when I update to time, I want to update to time T minus self.current animation start time. And I'll only want to do that if it doesn't exceed the duration. Oh, but now I'm doing this check twice. T greater than self.current animation at end time and this. These should be the same check. If I have the end time, I have the end time, and I have the duration. I should be able to get the start time from that. Current animation, let me see. T. Let me just calculate this. Start time, this is the self.current animation end current animation end time minus self.current animation run time. That's the start time. Then when I'll update to time is the difference T minus the animation start time. So what can I say about this? Wait, where's T? Okay, T minus current, so it's T minus this plus this. So if T is larger, like in this case, then T minus this, that'll be a positive number, minus self.current animation runtime. No, that doesn't tell me much. Oh, this means that usually T is less than or equal to current animation end time. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna see if this... Actually, I'd be kind of surprised if this worked just the way it is right now. But hey, maybe it could work. Oh, let me compile that. Oh, not that. Darn, none type has no attribute runtime. Line 277? So I did mess up something there. Self.current animation runtime. Wait. None type has no attribute runtime. That means it got to this line where self.current animation was still none. How? Oh, because this must have been equal. It must have been equal to 0. That's annoying. Well, I could make the current animation end time. Well, if T is... Can I just put an equal here and call it a day? Probably not. If it's equal, it shouldn't create the next one. Man. Current animation end time. Then what it's going to do is add to current animation end time. So it's going to need like an OR. If t equals 0, basically. And then what, if t equals 0, then I'm always going to want to index into this. So maybe I'd want to do it like that. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't think about that much. But now the first time it should get updated, and any time other than that it should fall into this case. I guess it's already not running before I clicked render. Again, Nuntime has no attribute runtime. How is that possible? Oh, that error was emitted twice, I think. Or was it? No, it's only done this after I hit render. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's that... Oh, well, this isn't reset. Although update to time still isn't working. Self.update to time. So it'd be like print called update to time. I think this is being called this first. Uh-oh. I thought my internet went out because the music went out. Did I screw something up? I'm so confused. Oh, I guess it came back. Okay, because it just cut off really abruptly. Okay, so recompile that. And I want to see if it was calling update to time this first time. Top-notch music. Thanks, I try. And it is calling update to time. Although I don't see that reflected. The circle isn't being shifted. Oh wait, the circle was shifted, right? It's not in the center anymore. But why wasn't that animated? Where's the Python code? Here. Update animations. So this is being called on each frame. So yeah, that seems like it should be working. Update animations. And I think this should only be running after. Oh no, this is running when it's mounted. ManaScene.setup. Okay, so the mana scene is created here. And then it's set up here. And then it'll get picked up by this. So why don't I see it? Why don't I see it moving to the right? That's so weird. I thought it just appeared on the right. Yeah, it is. That's annoying. So does ManaScene.setup Pyodide code run Python. Yeah, that's weird. For now, I guess I should set it up so that when I render, if I hit render again, I'm actually not sure why that would crash it either. Oh, it's because that T... I think it's because that T that I passed won't be 0 anymore. I think. I think the first time this is 0, 0, and the second time it's some other thing. Now it's actually pretty close to 0, 0. Although this is negative for some reason. Timestamp minus start timestamp. That should never be negative. When I render... Oh, I guess because performance down now is slightly different. Slightly different than the timestamp that comes from request animation frame. That must be it. So, how can I get a more accurate timestamp? Maybe what I want to do is... really the way to do this would be to find a way to not have this loop running all the time. But for now, I'm just gonna make this the max of this in 0 and just do that. But other than that, it should be a brand new scene that's created when I hit render. That went super, super fast. I think it is animating. It's going really, really, really fast. And why would it do that? Oh, because these are milliseconds or whatever. Yeah, milliseconds. So that's 10 to the negative 3. Does the fill shader still disappear when you have a certain area of the scene? It does that if you shift the circle. If you shift it, then that does happen. if you update the model matrix, then that doesn't happen. And the difference is probably that it's probably some rounding error that caused it. Okay, so let me go ahead and start in seconds. Okay, I just gotta copy this weird expression. And this times... Okay, so that's 10 to the negative 3. Then delta. It's just gonna be delta times that. Okay. And that looks like it's working. So why did I do that the first time? When I first start this up, it'd be nice if this animation just started. Yeah, it just appears on the side like that. I guess it's gonna come down to, at some point I'm gonna have to change this so this function isn't always running. And then I think a solution will present itself. Okay, but I'm fairly certain that chaining these won't work. Actually, it really just shouldn't work. Because I never called like animation.finish and stuff. So it'd be kind of weird if it did. That was weird. Looks like it's indexing this wrong somehow. Okay. Let's update to time. So the first, oh, it won't be t equals 0 in this case. Oh wait, yeah, it will. Yeah, I don't know why that selected the second one. Let me update the default. This one and then shift. Let's do 2 times right. And then 2 times down. Yeah, it just only selects the down one. So let's see why that happens. Current animation index plus equals 1. And it's going to index that at current animation index. So let me just, each time, I'm going to print current animation index. You can start there. That is one high index. wait. Okay, so this is being incremented every time. T equals 0 or t greater than. Why would that happen? Well, I guess now I have to print t and dt. Current animation end time and current animation dot runtime. T. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to print that. Hmm. If this starts at 5. Okay, so t is like kind of wrong. If it's starting at 5. I can't get at the bottom of this anymore. Okay, so I need a cleaner way to deal with these timestamps. It's all coming back to this problem that I shouldn't be animating this thing all the time. So I think I have to fix that somehow. Oh, better late than never. Okay. So basically, Pyodide isn't loaded until I get here. So do MinimScene.setup there. And it's only then that I want to start this thing. The question is, how can I start and then later stop one of these things? Like, how would I even stop it? How would I know that there's another one to create? Maybe if I have something like... if this is the entire object, I could have something like current animation. Like current animation loop. That'll be like a function. And then separately from that, could I update that animation loop? Somewhere it'd have to be like the render function. It'd have to be like, first I call current animation loop. And then or call self.current animation loop. Then request animation frame self.current animation loop. The difference being that when I want to change the animation loop, I can just update this. Well, first of all, I can pause this. I can do like if not like paused or whatever. And only in that case do this. But this won't call itself. Okay, I think that's a workable solution. So then once this is mounted, I won't want to call it yet. Right now, as soon as this is mounted, this is called, which isn't what I want. Let me try just moving this into render. Like that. And now when it's mounted, it won't do anything until something's actually rendered. And this should all be commented. Let's see if that even works. What takes that so long? Okay, so that's even that is progress. Although there's another error here. But this is starting from 0 now. Oh, the first one was not a number. Can I keep doing this? Seems like it takes a while to start up for some reason. Where are those console logs coming from? Oh, was that Python? So I'll recompile that. It might be the printing that's slowing this down so much. Then... I could do this, I guess? But then how will I know to... I'll call current animation loop. How will I know to stop calling render, though? I think I'd want to have something like if it's currently playing or something like that. But I do think I need a render loop that's running all the time though. So wouldn't I still have to do that in on mounted? So render loop equals function. So I would have to do this, and I would have to do request animation frame render loop. But what this does, we'll have to change. Okay, let me see what this does. It still pauses for a while. That's really weird. It looks like for the right animation, just isn't working for some reason. There's some problem with that one, probably. It's still doing this, though. None type has no attribute runtime. So it shouldn't be like this. What this should do is update the current animation loop or whatever. This should be if current animation loop is not null, then call it and it's going to call itself here. So that'll still be called in a loop. Let's make this take a timestamp. Request animation frame render loop. Okay, so now I think render shouldn't do anything. Or it should only draw once. Oh, is this frozen? There we go. current animation loop is not defined. And that's true. Should be something like this. Now render shouldn't do anything. Or does this this that it did before. So I want to make sure it's at least calling this in a loop. Okay, and it is. Oh, but actually this won't solve the problem with the hot reloading. I wonder if there's a... I can deal with that later. That's a separate problem. Okay, but then this... When I call render, I want to update current animation loop. And this will have to take that timestamp. Let's see how that does. Oh, I didn't save that. There we go. Okay, I think it's... Okay, now I don't know why it does that. But I guess if I save it, then there won't be... This won't be called twice. Hey, Daryl Golden, what's going on? So I do that console.log. Okay, and I save that. Then I change this to console.log B. Did I save that? Oh, and then I hit render. No, it's still printing A and B. Why? Oh, because this render loop is still... I didn't remove that render loop. That's really dumb. I don't know how to cancel one of these. But at least I can cancel the Madam animation this way. Let me get rid of that called update to time as well. Okay, so now I think I at least have enough to start debugging why this only does the second animation. So let me just print T and BT again. And I'll start with that. So 0, 0. That looks correct. It's starting from like some really small number. Wait, T and this DT? Starting from a small number that's gradually increasing. This seems correct. So let me instead try to print which animation it's using. Like so. Well, method animation circle isn't very helpful. Let me try to print the index. Because it should be 0 for a while and then 1 for a while. Actually, I'll print T and then the current animation index. All right, let's see. Okay, that looks right. It was 0 all of this time, then it was 1 all of this time. So... why isn't it going right? Why? Oh, I think I see why. Wait. This self.circle.animate.shift whatever. This updates the target of that circle. So I think I have to call build right away. Because otherwise I'm updating the target, then I'm updating the target again. I guess that didn't work either. Let me try... I'll try doing that from the start. Isn't there just a shift function? Maybe that would be easier to do. But I don't even know what it's called. Movement. Is there seriously no shift animation? Guess not. Okay. Alright, let me rerun that. That was super weird. But I see why it did that. Does it at least not do that pausing thing anymore? That's good. Oh. Nope, still does it sometimes. Why would it do that? I think if I render before the... No, I have no idea why it does that sometimes. But anyway, That is a super annoying bug. Oh my goodness. It has to mean for some reason that the target is in the same place as the original mobject. Why would that ever happen? Okay, let me make this something that isn't as much of a special case. Move to. I don't know the names of any of the animations anymore. Jeez. Isn't there like move? You can like move to a specific. Oh, there's apply method, which I also don't remember how to use. Maybe like dot whatever. Let me try using that. Okay. I guess that does it. I wonder if it still has that problem where it sometimes... Okay, first of all, let me make this 2. Okay, so that doesn't have the same problem as the other thing. So now the question is, how can I update the method animation so that they do what this, basically what this does? Oh, no, still does it sometimes. I think it's more rare. Okay. Well, the next thing to do would be try to make the method animation do this. And I think what'll probably have to happen is the method animation will have to hold on to its own target when I create it, rather than updating the mobject's target. Well, actually that still wouldn't really work. Yeah, that wouldn't really work. What I'd have to do is... two things. I'll have to update the mobject's target when I do a method animation. And when I do another method animation, I have to start from that mobject's current target. But I have no idea why it sometimes does nothing. Maybe it happens if I interrupt it? No? Oh, it does look more likely if I interrupt it. No, maybe that's not true either. Okay. Well, anyway, that was a decent amount of progress. So from there, I think I'm gonna call it there. That was a lot of work I got done. If I can get this ironed out really well, then I can start porting LaTeX. Man, that thing where it stays still, that's super annoying. I also wonder at which point I should actually put this on a website. It does the right thing so often. Man, it's gonna annoy me. Okay, then let me see if I should be able to do other stuff as well. Set stroke. I actually don't know how to use this. This might be how you do that. Nope. I wonder why that happened. Okay, now there's too many bugs. That was fun. Let me find a different science and technology person. Thanks a ton. Lake 4096. How about this person? They haven't been going too long. So sure. So let's say hi to this person. And I'll see you in the next stream or in Discord.